you have to make. But asset protection planning is critical to get straight in 2019 if you haven't done that. Another thing you should be looking at today, not in March or April, not in September or December, but now, would be income tax planning. You know, I had a person that I was working with years ago, but it was earlier in the year, you know, February, March, somewhere around there. And she wanted to procrastinate. She wanted to come back later. You know, I've got a lot going on. I've got this, I've got that. Let me come back and maybe see you in June or September. And that's fine. People that know me know I'm very easy to work with. I'm not an arm twister. But I said this to her. I said, well, you can come back in September. But if we do tax planning now, I'm going to be able to save you more money now than I'll be able to save you if you come back in September. Because you see, tax planning involves doing things in advance of the event, not after the event. A lot of people want to do tax planning in December, but by then you've already made the mistakes throughout the year that have already triggered the tax consequence for the year. So tax planning is something that you need to be doing now. If you have a person that's been doing your taxes, but they've never once in years or decades actually took the time to talk through things you can do to pay less tax moving forward, then they're not a tax planner. They're a tax preparer. They're a history teacher. They're taking what you did last year, putting it in the right boxes, and telling you how much to send to the IRS. There's a big difference in tax preparation and tax planning. Now, speaking of planning, one way to plan is to become informed, to get educated. I like reading. I read a lot. I think you should read too. I'm giving away a book. The name of the book is Return on Principle, 7 Core Values to help protect your money in good times and bad. I'm giving away 5 copies to the first 5 callers. You can call toll-free 848-2-INCOME. That's 848-246-2663. 848-2-INCOME. For the first 5 callers, I'll be giving away that book. Ask for it by name. Return on Principle. So, picking back up to the 12 must-dos for 2019 to get your affairs in order, I want to discuss the importance of getting your allocations correct on your investments. You know, I had a client that came on board recently, just a few weeks ago, but they remember hearing me speak in September of 2018. If you live locally here in Memphis, Tennessee, I was speaking at the Racket Club. The topic that night was estate planning. But he recalled that I said in September 2018 that I felt like the stock market had become overpriced. I was concerned about the decline in the market at those valuations. And what's the rest of the story? Well, by Christmas Eve, the stock market had declined roughly 20% from the time he heard me speak at the Racket Club through December 24th. In that short of a period of time, we had a 20% decline. Now, if you're retired and you're taking high risk at this point in your life, one thing you might want to consider, because I am concerned about a recession, I hope we don't see it until 2020. I'm a little nervous that 2019 could be a recessionary year. If you're being very aggressive, there's a time to play offense. There's a time in your life to play defense. I'm not saying that you should have zero money in the market. That's not what I'm saying. My big concern comes when I see someone who's 65, 75, 85 years old, and in one breath, they'll tell me that they're conservative. And in the very next breath, I'm looking at their, Merrill Lynch statement or their Ameriprise statement or wherever they are, Edward Jones, wherever, and they're 80, 90% in stocks or stock mutual funds. I had a person say, oh, David, I don't have any stocks. I have mutual funds. And they were completely unaware that they were buying shares of a company that was turning around and buying stocks. So many of you don't actually understand what you have, and that's part of the problem. When people come see me, I can tell them exactly how much risk they're taking. I can tell them if it's appropriate for their age and their goals. And sometimes an adjustment's necessary, but you need to use now, before it's too late, to review and adjust allocations. Now, one problem we're seeing in the investment community, and in my opinion, the financial planning community just failed the consumer in this regard, is many advisors don't understand income planning. They just don't. It's not that they're bad people. They just don't have the background or the training for it. They'll often, the way that they'll reduce risk is they'll simply take more of your money out of the stock funds and put more of the money into the bond mutual funds. Now, if you've heard any of my shows in the past, you would know that there's a huge difference in the universe of interest and dividend vehicles that pay income to investors, including individual bonds. Is one of them. Not all, there's many categories. And you would know how vastly different that is versus a bond mutual fund. A bond mutual fund has many, many problems right now. And sadly, that's how most advisors try to solve the risk puzzle. They don't actually know how to solve it, so they just put more in the bond funds. Okay? And another major area people have failed to plan. You've heard me say in the past, people don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. One major area would be in the area of how they're going to deal with a catastrophic health event. Have you ever asked yourself, how are you going to fund that? What we know is when it happens, it's very expensive. We know that. The average cost for custodial care in this area is roughly $6,500 a month. That's every month, and it's been going up. Healthcare costs have increased 9 to 13% per year since 1984. Here's what we don't know. We don't know who. We don't know when. We don't know how long. What else do we know? We know if you're 65 and older, there's a 1 in 2 chance. There's a 50% chance you will need custodial care before you die. Now, for those of you who are pretty handy at math, if you're married and there's a 1 in 2 chance that a 65-year-old or older will have custodial care, if you're married, the odds are close to 100% that you're going to be dealing with this. And many of you don't have a plan at all. Some of you have long-term care insurance, some don't. A few of you might have done Medicaid planning, which is really unfeasible for many of you because you have too many assets or the disadvantages outweigh the advantages. But ask yourself this question. If our health declines, how are we going to fund this major cost? Well, you might not know how. You might need help. You need help with that, with a professional. If you want to meet with us, you can go to our website, McAdamsGroupLLC.com. That's McAdamsGroupLLC.com. You can call toll-free. You can attend one of our workshops. That's 848-2-INCOME. 848-246-2663. It's toll-free. And I need to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be getting into our silent killer segment. Stay tuned, and I will be right back after the break.
You're listening to the Retirement Income Doctor.
I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer.
More with the Retired